What's up, folks? We're coming in hot with new intel and insight from Hasbro on the G.I. Joe Classified series. What figures are we predicting for 2026? What did Hasbro's G.I. Joe team say about the Fridge and Hooded Cobra Commander joining Classified? What secrets did the G.I. Joe team reveal about the Ghost Vipers? What is going on with so many Crystal Ball orders being cancelled? And what changes will Hasbro make to the Snowcat Haslab? We've got answers on all of that and a lot more. Watch until the end for all the latest updates and insight from the G.I. Joe Classified team. And remember, when it comes to G.I. Joe insight, clarity, and consistent quality, there's no substitute for the real thing. We bring you news and entertainment without any corporate bootlicking, softball treatment, or selling out. Before we get started, if you're not yet subscribed to Viper Island, now is the perfect time to join the largest G.I. Joe audience on the planet. Subscribe today so you don't miss an episode or any of our insight, research, and opinions. First up, the Snowcat Haslab campaign successfully funded all 3 tiers on the final day of its campaign. And it fully funded, in spite of its unlockable tiers, that never got the fanbase excited. Those who backed it were hoping for as much value to be included as possible, and many planned to sell their Flint and Lady J figures. The resale market should hold steady in the future, as the Snowcat fell short of the final numbers for all previous G.I. Joe Haslab campaigns. The only question is how much demand there will be in the future. Now folks, keep watching. In just a few minutes, we're going to provide you with a full update with a lot of brand new insight from the G.I. Joe team about the Snowcat and changes they're going to make to it. Next up, here's an up-to-date listing of the 2025 G.I. Joe Classified listings. At this point, there's not much left to reveal. Expect 2 more surprises this fall. And speaking of surprises, here's an up-to-date listing of what's on the way so far for Classified in 2026. Confirmed so far: Iceberg, Hit and Run, Lifeline, Night Viper, Big Lob, and the Red Dog and Taurus Renegades 2-pack. And now as a special surprise, here are 10 items we believe will join G.I. Joe Classified within the next year. Salvo, Repeater, Mad Marauders Mutton Junkyard, Blizzard, Sub-Zero, the Crimson Guard Immortal, Globulus and his pod, Zanzibar, Spearhead and Max. And we know this next one is on the way. It's just a matter of when Hasbro will announce it. The Dreadnought Thunder Machine. Stay tuned to Viper Island. We'll share an update on a few of these in our next episode. In the meantime, which of these new figures are you really excited about? And are there any surprises? Let us know in the comments down below which new figures you're hoping join the line in 2026. If you're enjoying this, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Then next, every year there's speculation that the situation with the Fridge has changed. The reason for speculation by some is that there's a person who attends San Diego Comic-Con every year and gets special San Diego Comic-Con lanyards and passes made. These feature the Fridge, and he brings them every year to San Diego Comic-Con to hand out to whoever is in the Hasbro booth, including Hasbro's G.I. Joe employees. He's told them that he does this because he's trying to convince them to make a figure of the Fridge. This happens every year, and without fail, every single year people think this is a sign that the Fridge is coming to Classified. However, we can confirm that there are no plans for the Fridge to join Classified anytime soon. Tony from the G.I. Joe team said they'd love to get to it, but that there was nothing to announce. He said they'd be remiss if they didn't eventually get to the Fridge. Meanwhile, Lenny from Hasbro said that the Fridge is an amazing character. He cautioned, all things in due time, which is a polite way of saying, not now, but we're not saying never. If or when this situation changes, we'll let you know. Viper Island will be right back after this important message.
He's getting mean. He's breaking the line for the G.I. Joe team.
That's right, it's William the Refrigerator Perry.
The Fridge is joined G.I. Joe.
And you can get a free fridge. Here's how.
Collect 5 Fridge certificates or call the number on the certificate and the Fridge will tell you how to get in on the action with only 4 certificates. There's a $1 handling charge. See details on specially marked G.I. Joe packages.
Watch out, Cobra. Fridge is coming through.
Yo, Joe!
Then next, we have an update on whether Hooded Cobra Commander will ever join G.I. Joe Classified, and you might be surprised. When asked about releasing Hooded Cobra Commander, Emily from Hasbro spoke in code, saying that there is nothing off limits in the world of G.I. Joe in terms of figures which have been made in the past. She went out of her way to point out that there are already existing Hooded Cobra Commander designs that have been used in franchise and licensing agreements with other companies for figures and statues. Emily's answer then turned away from Hooded Cobra Commander to instead hype up the different helmeted versions of Cobra Commander that they've released so far in the Classified series. The most notable part, the members of the G.I. Joe team stayed silent on this issue and let Emily do all the talking. And it was also the only question that Emily answered alone. It really speaks volumes that Emily was the only person at Hasbro to give comments on Hooded Cobra Commander, while the actual G.I. Joe brand employees avoided commenting altogether. If we read between the lines, Hasbro will allow other franchise and licensing agreement companies to release Hooded Cobra Commander, but they have no plans to do it themselves. Let's clarify. This does not mean that Hooded Cobra Commander will never join Classified. The demand for the figure does exist, and Hasbro is aware, but they've made it clear they are also in no rush to get to it. Next, there were some unverified rumors a while ago about a new G.I. Joe animated series based on the Skybound Comics Energon universe. Robert Kirkman himself from Skybound Comics said that there are no plans at this time for a G.I. Joe animated series. He said he's now taken over writing duties on Transformers and Void Rivals, so he has no time for new projects and is too busy to produce a brand new TV show on top of all of his existing responsibilities. That could change in the future. As always, if the big outlets are not talking about a rumor, it's because there's usually nothing to support it. Next, the rollout for the Walmart exclusive Crystal Ball has been riddled with problems. First, the pre-order window closed almost immediately, shutting out most collectors. To make matters worse, most of those who ordered from Walmart has since discovered that Walmart has canceled their orders in the past week or two. On top of that, our Crystal Ball literally fell apart in our hands during our unboxing and review. If you have not yet checked that out, we think you'll enjoy the review itself. Walmart has been telling customers that orders are being canceled due to low supply. In other words, they cannot ship to customers something that they have not yet received from the vendor. Is Hasbro experiencing more distribution problems? If so, that will ruin yet another rollout of a retail exclusive. We have a brand new update on Crystal Ball and the Ghost Vipers with insight from Hasbro's G.I. Joe team. Lenny said they pushed Crystal Ball pretty far in terms of the extra dire tech accessories like the sword, shield, and mask. They wanted to make him a threat and as intimidating as possible. And he now has his own brigade. Ghost Viper and the Dire Beasts are supposed to be illusions that Crystal Ball makes his opponents see. Lenny said that Classified lets them do things that we often don't see happen elsewhere in the action figure world, so he wanted to make a werewolf. He said that Crystal Ball was a great way to introduce a werewolf into Classified. The storyline narrative for the Classified Crystal Ball is that he's creating fear objects in the form of projections like werewolves and cobras, and he uses his brigade of Ghost Vipers to go around and spread fear with the dire tech projections. He said Crystal Ball is battling Night Force, so Night Force has to deal with the dire tech gas, which the Ghost Vipers are seen spreading using a flamethrower. He said the gas can take on the form of creatures that people are afraid of. Let us know in the comments down below what your opinion is of the Ghost Vipers. Are you into these? And do you like the green accessories? If this is something you want to see more of in the Classified series, sound off and let us know. If you're enjoying this, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Then next, we have an update on future Haslab re-releases. Emily said if a Haslab item is something that has existed meaningfully in other variants, then they could potentially re-release them, as long as they fit under the following parameters. First, the colorway of the original Haslab will never be released again. For example, there will never be another Black His tank made for Classified. Second, the Haslab version will always be the most premium version that they make. Third, if they re-release a vehicle, it has to be cheaper than the original Haslab price. However, Haslabs are already priced to include other figures and extra parts and pieces, and sometimes patches, so it goes without saying that a re-release would be cheaper. Fourth, there has to be at least 3 years between releases. And fifth, re-releases can never be Haslabs. They would have to be available for regular purchase. This means that the earliest a new HISS tank will be released is this fall. Red and white HISS tanks make the most sense to produce first, but let us know in the comments if you disagree. Is there a specific color of HISS tank that you would jump at if it came to the market? Let us know. We want to hear from you. Let's not forget that during the Snowcat Haslab announcement, Hasbro showed a video with Cobra Commander giving Destro orders to slap some white paint on some HISS tanks and stingers. Translation, we're getting Arctic HISS tanks and an Arctic Stinger sometime soon. And we likely won't have to wait too long for either one. Let us know which drivers you want included with an Arctic HISS tank and an Arctic Stinger. Also, the earliest that a Tigerfly helicopter or new variants of Wild Bill could be released is fall 2026. So keep that in mind. And the earliest that a Tiger Cat or Havoc can be released using the Snowcat mold would be fall 2028. Viper Island will be right back after this important message.
Tired of the fanatical ravings of Cobra Commander and Serpentor, Destro goes it alone.
Destro's back on the attack, out to conquer the world on his own.
Leading Destro's army is the anti-gravity pod, the AGP.
Who needs Cobra? With my demon and the Iron Grenadiers, neither Joe nor Cobra are a match for me.
Yo, Joe! Nobody beats G.I.JOE, a real American hero.
Can Destro's army destroy Joe and Cobra? Find out at Marvel Comics.
Next up, we have a full update on all things Snowcat with insight from Hasbro. The G.I. Joe team said that the Snowcat will be utilizing a new lighting feature. If you want, you will be able to plug in a USB-powered cable from the Snowcat and then run it to your wall outlet. They said that this will feature several different lighting modes: a battle mode, warning mode, fog mode, and shadow mode. Unlike all previous G.I. Joe Haslabs, this feature will now allow you to turn the lights on and leave them on for as long as you want. And you can also feature the Snowcat with different lighting setups, which can also be left on. Lenny said they knew the Snowcat would have to be a Snowcat because it's a 2-seater, and the HISS is only a 1-seater. So by size alone, he says it was obviously in Haslab territory. He said that the Snowcat is very wide and heavy, and he said the back turns into an APC when you remove the rocket turret. Lenny said they chose the Snowcat for the Haslab after conducting a few focus groups. He and Tony said that they think the Snowcat would look just as good in tan or green, not just the classic white color. Of course, the green Snowcat is just the Havoc Mark II. Lenny said once the Snowcat is funded, they'll go deeper into the engineering of the Snowcat. However, he also said that the Snowcat is too heavy for the front end to stay elevated when the tread tilt is lifted. So there is no way to have the Snowcat positioned like this on display, even though Hasbro is showing off product shots featuring this. It will have to rest on a surface in order to stay up. In regards to the missile turret, Lenny said they're still in development. He said there's a stand that's permanently attached to the bottom of the turret, and that the turret can be placed outside of the Snowcat as a standalone missile turret. Lenny said that they will not make a troop cover canopy for the personnel carrier. He said they're in the development phase, so he won't consider doing anything different or changing anything. He said if a canopy was to be included to cover the personnel carrier, which is basically just the benches at the back, it would have had to have been done during the design phase, which he says took place before the launch and before the announcement of the Snowcat. Let us know if you think that Hasbro missed on this, and do you consider the back area with benches a true personnel carrier? The area is very cramped, and it's clear now that Hasbro has avoided showing any figures jammed in there. Would you have preferred that some of the budget had gone toward a troop cover canopy to make the back section a true personnel carrier? Or would you have preferred if Hasbro had offered a detailed canopy and turret as a 4th tier? Lenny said the stickers for the windshield and sticker sheet are going to be reusable, and they won't just be a one-time application that can't be removed. He said he doesn't know if the Arctic bivouac will have its own packaging. The bivouac poles and rungs can be disassembled and then wrapped up with the tent fabric and stored inside the benches or inside the crates. Lenny said they decided on a pull-out kitchenette to be included because they wanted to create a scene in which the Joes are camping out in the wild under the stars. Why this was so important to do, it's not clear. He said they came up with the kitchenette first, before the cooking supplies and food. Lenny said they chose Flint and Lady J as unlockable figures for the Snowcat because that's what focus groups told them to do. What Lenny is not mentioning is that they presented focus groups with options, and one of them was Flint and Lady J together. So of course, focus groups did not come up with the idea of Flint and Lady J together on their own. It was presented to them. So it's a bit of a cop-out to suggest that focus groups told them to do Flint and Lady J. So is it really the focus groups who are to blame for Flint and Lady J? Or was it Hasbro's choice because they felt that Flint and Lady J paired well together? Lenny said that it all lined up from a research standpoint, from what the brand needed, and from what makes most sense for their expedition. Lenny went out of his way to call Flint and Lady J, quote-unquote, perfect decisions for what the Snowcat tiers should be. Essentially, and you let us know if you think we're off base, Flint and Lady J were forced into the Haslab Snowcat because people at Hasbro felt that the brand needed Flint and Lady J, two main characters, to go on an ice fishing expedition with the Snowcat. This seems like unnecessary storytelling. When it comes to a Haslab, something that Hasbro themselves calls a dream project, storyline narratives should not be forced into it. It should sell itself. Flint and Lady J are great-looking figures. We won't dispute that. The issue is that the vast majority of fans see them as miscast for the Haslab tiers. A separate 2-pack? Sure, fans would have been open to that. A 2-pack of Flint and Lady J with the Bivouac Battle Station included? Again, fans have made it clear they would have been open to that. But as Haslab tiers, the slow pace of the campaign spoke for itself. In the end, collectors who wanted the Snowcat but were not interested at all in Flint and Lady J felt like there was no option but to back the project in spite of its tiers. Not because of them. Not everyone is going to like the tiers no matter what, but in the case of the Snowcat, it's indisputable that the tiers are going to fall into the background of this project. The Snowcat is the star, but it could have been a lot better if Hasbro had gone along with what's most logical, winter-based characters that are not forced into the storyline. This is something that Hasbro has to address and try to avoid in the future if they're going to insist on continuing to run crowdfunding campaigns. Now let's turn this over to you. How do you feel the Snowcat campaign went? Did you back it? If so, how many did you order? And if you didn't, what was the main reason that you passed on the Snowcat? And most importantly, for those who did not back the Snowcat, would you have changed your mind if the tiers were different characters instead of Flint and Lady J? If so, let us know in the comments what you have in mind. And there you have it. You've made it to the end of this episode, and we really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. And we would love it even more if you take just 1 second of your time. Make sure that down below you are subscribed to the channel. We ask that you do, because that guarantees that we definitely get to see you back here again next time. Thanks for tuning into Viper Island, your one-stop shop for all things G.I. Joe. When there's relevant news, we'll be here to discuss all of it, together with you. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, have a great day, and yo Joe!